Carol, have your full forecast tomorrow. Back to you both. Enjoy your day.
Lovely, Matt. Nice to see summer approaching, finally. Thank you.
Right, it's approaching the end of the programme, but before we go, we all know that bees love wild flowers, but they also like trees. And now scientists are trying to discover which types of tree bees visit the most.
So the answer will be used to help in planning parks, gardens and other green spaces to help attract more pollinators. And our reporter Sarah Smith has been finding out all about it.
At this time of year, the flowers can appear alive with bees, going from bloom to bloom, gathering nectar. And while they're feeding themselves, they're helping feed us too, spreading pollen so we can grow crops. But with numbers declining, here at Wakehurst, they're looking up for a solution.
This is our sensor. It's a bioacoustic sensor. So this is telling us the number of bumblebees that are visiting the flowers on this tree.
At the moment there's already one sticking out the top, which you probably can't see because of all the foliage. And then there's one lower down that's already in there. So this is going to go sort of middle way around the tree, basically.
By placing them all the way up, the monitors should pick up bee activity in any part of the tree, triggered by the unique frequency of the beat of a bumblebee wing. And if the results show this is a tree bees like, it could have big possibilities.
We're really interested in trees because if you think about they're covered in pollen and nectar, and when they're flowering, this is like this big 3D structure rather than a wildflower meadow. So we're really interested in putting trees in the landscape that are good for pollinators to give them that maximum forage throughout the seasons.
Here at Wakehurst, they have around 1,500 different species of trees. And this project should find out which the bees prefer, information that can then be used in the planning of landscapes across the country to make them as bee-friendly as possible.
That is our end goal, is to inform policy, inform land management, so that we're creating, habitats that are really suitable. Bees are really important. They are natural pollinators. Without bees, our food system would collapse.
So planting the right trees in urban landscapes, for example, where there's no space for wild meadows, could be a way to provide the bees with what they need.
So you can see the different areas show you the abundance of the bumblebees.
They describe Wakehurst as a living laboratory. What they discover here, they hope, could provide some answers for an environment under pressure. Sarah Smith, BBC News.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? Well, we're joined by Ian Campbell, who's from the British Beekeepers Association, and he's in his garden, or in Newcastle. I assume it's your garden. Thanks for joining us, Ian. We've just been hearing there about wild bee populations in Wakehurst and issues there. Just take us through the situation across the UK. How in peril are our bee populations?
I'm a beekeeper and we work with honeybees. This is an allotment in Newcastle. Honeybees aren't really endangered. There are always pressures on all sorts of bees, but honeybees aren't especially endangered. With bumblebees, we've lost several species of bumblebees over the last 150 years. There are more that are at risk, and we've got a broad insect decline. And last year we saw a terrible year for insects because of the awful spring and early summer. So anything we can do for bees across the whole spectrum of all 270 species in the UK is fantastic.
What do you think are the reasons that we're seeing this strain put on populations, Ian?
There's a whole mix of things. I mean, there's no one element that's key on this. But we're looking at climate change, we're looking at intensive agriculture, we're looking at pests and pathogens, we're looking at herbicides, and we're looking at habitat loss. You put that package together and it all puts pressure on the pollinators.
And just remind us why we should be so worried about pollinators being in decline.
As was in your item earlier, it's food security. Bees are critical for pollination. If you don't get the pollination, then food supply becomes an issue. Food costs can go up. So it's that pollination value from all the pollinators. And honeybees are a big part of that in the UK that is a primary concern.
So what can we do to help? What can ordinary people like, well, obviously you're a beekeeper, but people like me, what can someone like me do to help?
I mean, interestingly, there's a thing in July called Bees Needs Week, which the government run. And it says 5 simple actions. And it's keep some messy spaces in your garden. Plant a few more flowers. Even if you've only got a tiny space, plant a little bit more. Maybe don't cut your grass so often. In the springtime, look at if you're going to tidy up your garden, maybe wait until the pollinators have come out of hibernation. And if you're going to use pesticides, try to minimise it or use them at times of day when they're likely to have the minimum impact.
As a beekeeper yourself, what is it about bees? Why are you so? I mean, beekeeping in this country has grown massively, hasn't it? The number of beekeepers has actually grown. People love them.
It's up to about 30,000 now. Not everyone needs to be a beekeeper. Save the Bees is about all the bees. Specifically, we look after honeybees, and it's a fantastic and fascinating hobby and activity. But not everyone's got the time, the money, the ability to do it. There are all sorts of ways you can help bees without becoming a beekeeper.
And of course, Bill Turnbull, who graced this so well for so many years, was key in promoting that whole thing, wasn't he? That whole beekeeping message.
He was. He wrote a lovely book, a sort of bad beekeeper's guide, where he was really kind of humorous about the ups and downs of beekeeping and how the best plans can go completely awry with a species like honeybees, which will always kind of catch you out.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Ian, and hope you have some happy bees in the background. I'm sure they are. Ian Campbell, their beekeeper and spokesperson for the British Beekeepers Association. And we should say the King loves his bees.
Does he?
And David Beckham. They exchanged beekeeping tips last time they chatted.
Ah, well, maybe when he's doing that with his sword, well, if the reports are to be believed.
They've got plenty to talk about.
They might natter about bees as well as football when Sir David's being knighted. Maybe.
That is all from us today. Thank you for your company this morning.
Yeah, whatever you're up to, I hope you have a fantastic Sunday breakfast. Back, as always, John and Sally here tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock. But from all of us, thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.